that light's killing it. As I pick up my phone, oh my gosh. Dang thing loads. What am I doing? Boom. All right, good. Hey, everyone. Other than, obviously, the all the stuff beside me and my stream being weird. Okay. No, it was just frozen. All right. Let's pop this out. Let's drop this. Let's pull this over. And then bring. That's a weird way to do that. All right, you two. There should be good. Drag that up. All right. You're talking about the weird, isn't it the like double pistol? Yeah. So it's like got a grenade launcher in it too, I think. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I don't even know how this thing works. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Hi, Kathy. Yeah, no, I was actually gonna see if we could work on this just a little bit today. That's something that kind of popped up into my mind that I wanted to do. I've seen Nick Rick's pulse rifle from Aliens, and have no desire to make my own. So, yeah. So, oh gosh, 1 second. The only reason I'd make a Aliens rifle is because I would make a Thompson, because I've only ever made one Thompson before, and that was a really old model. So if I remade a standard military issue Thompson, I would consider doing the Aliens pulse rifle, and then I would also need to make a SPAS 12 because the underbarrel grenade launcher portion of it is just a modified SPAS 12. A couple other different parts from stuff. It's whatever, really. But then There's a whole bunch of other guns that are based off of the Thompson that I could do as well. So the, what's that? Super OP one from Advanced Warfare. I don't remember the name of it, but I could also do that. Yeah, so it's just like if I go through and I make like a base rifle, there's so many other possibilities that come out of that. So a good example of this is the Dragunov that I've recently made, the SVD. The only reason I made it is because there was a really cool prototype that I saw on Forgotten Weapons that kind of like really caught my eye. So I wanted to make the base weapon first, because then I can make the prototype version of it, but then I can also do a Romanian PSL, which is slightly different, but not really. The bullpup version of that, the SVU-A, SVU-AS, you can get those as well. I don't do field stripping stuff, so you probably won't see it from me either, to be honest with you. Is it possible for you to make the M5A2 from Resistance Fallen Man? Resistance Fallen Man. M5A2. Resistance Fallen Man. Images. It's a interesting rifle. I've never even heard of this game. Definitely possible. I have kind of what I would need to do it. Because as far as I can tell, most of the receiver seems to be M14 in nature. Well, I actually need to remake my M14 because mine is comically undersized from the real thing. Yeah, just a little bit. We're not going to stream for too long. I got dinner with friends at 7, so I'll probably have to leave here at like 6:15 to head out there, because that's how things work when you're my age. But I just got home and kind of wanted to stream while I worked on this. Talk to a couple people, get things going and whatnot. So. This has always been like the most difficult thing about doing anything. 1, 2, 3. Boat related stuff, incredibly difficult to do. I have a lot of respect for people who make custom boats. Go away. I'm not a Doom person myself. If I had played the game more, I'd be a lot more open to doing something for Doom, but I don't play Doom. The only thing that I have from Doom is my different usernames, the shotgun that he did from Doom. And that's the only thing that I have from Doom. Not really. Just because you like Lego doesn't mean you're a nerd. There are plenty of people who like to play other things that, you know, they probably shouldn't, and they're way older. So, like, I know plenty of people who are 22, 23, and they play Roblox. So, it's not exactly an adult game. Yeah, I'm 22. I had to think about my own age. I'm old enough to drink, and I still play with Lego. So, trust me, you're all good, man. Alright, I got bored of that. So we're just gonna exit out of that. And then go back to, I guess, finding a gun to start, maybe. I want to start a website on Lego and sell them for me. It's not bad to be young and being entrepreneurial. World.guns.ru. Especially if you already know what you want to do. It never hurts to give it a shot. This is the hard part. Finding... I was going to make a sniper rifle today, because I saw a video on one that I'd seen before, but I've forgotten the name of. Where's this button? Clap saw. I think it was Swiss? Is it this one? Yeah, this thing looks super weird, but I love like the looks of it. So, overall length 1,115 millimeters. Studs.surreal.pl. Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. 1115 is 139 studs. We're gonna round down. So we just need 139. So we need 13 of these, and then a 3 and a 4. So I'll answer that question here in a second. 6. This makes 12. That makes 13. That's 130. And then we need a 4 and a 3 and then 2. That'll be that. Yeah, I actually played Warframe 4 a little bit. I don't like it. Is there... It gives us a barrel length, but I don't think that includes the big suppressor standing on the back of it. Yeah, 43 studs. So that's a 4. There's the 3. 3. And then, come on. 3, 4. Yeah, so there's no way that, because the gun will probably end like right about here-ish, and then the suppressor goes all the way out, so that's the actual barrel inside of this huge suppressor. Is there any other measurements going on here? Yeah, a lot of them do. And then I'm going backwards. So I have every single every single Monday up until January as a video premiering, and now I'm working backwards from December to do every single Wednesday up until now. So as new models come out, I'm making videos for them and uploading them to Premiere on Wednesdays now, working back to our current date. So by the end of the year, there'll be 2 videos from me dropping every single week. There are some really interesting weapons that I would love to see built from Warframe. I just wish, when I was playing Warframe, I'm not going to say that it wasn't explained to me. It was just that I had a huge time understanding, like, oh, you put this mod on this. If you want to optimize a build a certain way, you do it like this. I had a really hard time understanding a lot of that. And because I had a lot of trouble understanding that type of stuff, I didn't get into the game as much as I might have enjoyed getting into the game. So I kind of played for not too long and then left without really looking back. Like, I know that there's, wow, that's a 5 studs fact. I know there's been a whole bunch of updates and stuff to the game, and it's a lot better than what it used to be. Free updates too. You don't have to really pay for it. Excuse me, you don't have to pay for anything, but I don't want to play, basically. Have you ever thought about making a tactical M1 Garand? I tried and failed, but I'm still working on it. The closest that we can get is the Black Ops 3 M1 Garand, MX Garand. If I was going to make a tactical M1 Garand, this would be it, to be honest with you, because it sits into a polymer stock. The stock has adjustability to it. It has all the rails on it that you would need for your scopes and lasers and whatnot. Me personally, that would be a good way to go. So the actual designers, when they designed that one, they did a pretty good job of getting it right. There's been a couple of times where I've wanted to design a weapon of some sort, like that updates it, but when I try, it didn't work out. So I think, for a good example, I tried to make a modern Thompson using Pimp My Gun, and it was okay, but it wasn't perfect. And then Advanced Warfare came around, and they had the, I gotta look this up because I was just trying to talk about this earlier. Advanced Warfare, okay, I can't type. Advanced Warfare, I know Speakeasy, ASM1, there we go. ASM1, the Speakeasy was a variant of that thing. This is an updated Thompson when you look at it, and it's not that bad looking. So, yeah, that was that. I've tried to do stuff like that before, so I have definitely tried, just not succeeded like some other people might have. Alright, so we're going to start with the suppressor because it's a huge portion of the gun. And we're going to use a method that I already used before on the Barrett to get this to look right. It's my favorite build in my career so far. It's, where can we go? Scroll, 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 scroll. Getting closer. There it is. This right here. By far my favorite thing that I've ever built, because it is, in terms of techniques and the amount of stuff that I did to close gaps, this is it. Plus, then we did the God mode version of it, which is using every attachment that you could put on it in game, which actually physically changes the appearance. And then later on, I plan on making the next part of this, and the next part of this is using all of the, it's called the blackout version is what I call it. It uses all the black market attachment variants on the weapon. So the only other gun that I've done this with is the Locust, and the Locust is not on here. So yeah, our sniper rifle section on here is non-existent because I haven't done it yet. So yeah. That one took, I did a lot of live streams for that one, and I want to say, I think it was like, when you add them all together, almost 12 hours, I think. Yeah, it took a lot of time to do. It wasn't easy. That's when Black Ops 3 was still hugely popular. I've done plenty of Barretts. They're just not my favorite. Most recently, I took my different usernames and updated it to my personal aesthetic. My Barretts, I've done 3 of them, and all of them were slightly undersized by maybe like 2 or 3 inches, which kind of matters, but not really. And then my different username released his Barrett, and his Barrett, it's pretty on point aesthetically. It looks really, really good. So all I did was take his Barrett and modify it so, to me, it looked better. That's all I really did. I must have passed the part that I was looking for. I did. That video should be premiering sometime this year. So, it should be relatively soon. And yeah, we're gonna have to, yeah, which ruins that, so we're gonna delete that. I guess I could have gone to the old website and that would have shown you all of that type of stuff. Yeah, so if we very quickly do that. So this was my first version, and then I upgraded to the second version, and then I did a third version as well. And then, like I said, most recently, I have a fourth version, which is based off of my different usernames that I just changed so that I could have a better version, basically. There are larger bow plates than 2x2. For what exactly? Are you talking about like the curved plates? I know so you got that size, and then you got this size. So this is meant to go around the really big shapes. So this is basically like a cross section of the suppressor. This, unfortunately, it sticks out, which really sucks. And they haven't made one of these that goes around the 6 curve yet. So I kind of, for like stuff like this, I kind of get stuck having to not use, I have to fill in the gaps with not really good pieces, which sucks. But it is what it is. I did not alternate that. Suppressor is so big. I'm not too concerned. Why is this? Okay, because I pressed the wrong button. A good looking gun I want to build is an AR-14 AEG. AR-15 AEG. AR-15 AEG. Kind of weird looking. But it seems kind of basic other than handguard, really. Yeah, I don't, I'm not too concerned about this, really, to be honest with you, because you have this 2x2 section going all the way down, and there's some really cool stuff that you can do with the 2x2 section that involves these, and then plates. And then you can take these, and you can do this, and then all of a sudden you get a lot more strength to this, and this will fit inside this 2x2 area right here. And that 2x2 area goes all the way down until you get to the very end of the barrel. So I'm not too concerned about the strength of this entirely. Did you ever figure out the mechanism for the shotgun? Not to load it, but to shell eject, yeah. Me personally, I think that this is already a challenging gun to build because you got this huge suppressor hanging off the front, and then you got this weird, like this receiver back here has a really weird shape to it. It's just super, this area right here, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but we'll get there eventually. I think one more of the cylinder sections and we will be good to go on actually starting the body to fill in the rest of this. So we can delete this because that was basically useless. Alright, so now we're gonna move this over. To like here-ish. And then come in to the back. So first thing that I want to do is make this a 5-stud wide receiver, and we've got like another 13 minutes before we have to head out. So we need to make a transition from 6 studs down to the 5 studs. This is a Swedish weapon. Forgot the name already. Apparently, like during World War II, the Swedes left behind like a sabotage group in case they were going to be occupied by Germany. And the whole point of the sabotage group was to basically just sabotage everything that they could. So I guess it's like a resistance movement. You just sit there, and as they try to set up base or something like that, you, like I said, you sabotage things as much as possible. At least that's how I understood it. I've also thought about doing the VSS though, but it is really ugly. Hi, Corey. You're talking about the Russian sniper rifle, right? We also don't need the Stormtrooper VSS sniper. Oh. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking about like a 50 cal. Hold on. This thing, the VKS. There we go. No, I've already done a VSS too. So my VSS also came from my different username. And I took and I modified it once more to get what I wanted out of it. So I've already got one of those built. That video is also set to premiere sometime this year. Relatively soon, because I just premiered one of them. I think this week, and it was one of the more modern versions of it. Because someone, like on the stream when I was making it, someone had suggested to do the more modern version of it, and I didn't even know that they had a more modern version of it, so I really want to do that. Yeah, it's this huge suppressor on the end of it. Okay, so back to this. This thing, it was developed for the Swedish people who were staying behind in Sweden during World War I to form a resistance movement against the occupation forces, right? So they wanted an anti-material rifle to attack installations with, in the sense that like you're trying to take out control towers for communications and stuff like that. You want to do it from super far away, and you don't necessarily want to give away your position if you're that close to an enemy base. So they developed this thing, which is this huge suppressed anti-material rifle. And it's just so... It looks so weird, but aesthetically pleasing at the same time. It's kind of complicated. It's your favorite type of AK variant weapon? That's easy. if I can spell. All right, let's try this again. There we go. Oh my gosh, I don't know why it keeps doing that. This thing. Oh my goodness, I love this thing. It looks so futuristic and clean. You can tell that it's lightweight and just, oh man, this is good. So that's my favorite AK variant of weapon. Good work on the MPX Saber. Congratulations. Is the suppressor detachable? I believe so, but I've never seen any images of it detachable. So this organization apparently was so secretive that no one really knew it existed until it was disbanded by politicians who kind of like unearthed it, basically. Kind of ridiculous to think about, but I guess it was a political ploy on their end to shut it down some way, somehow, and they unearthed the organization, and part of them unearthing it was that these were revealed. Apparently there's, I think, 250 of them, but there's only 3 of them known to be in a museum collection. None of them are in like a private hand collection where like you could go and shoot them or anything like that. So it's kind of unique. There we go. Here in New Zealand, now all semi-automatic firearms are banned after the Christchurch shooting. So that would include handgun, all semi-automatic rifles, regardless of what they look and everything. So that's are people grandfathered into that, Corey? So like if you already own one, like are you okay, or did you have to turn it in or anything? Like that sounds like it's going to be a fiasco over there, to be honest with you, if they start taking them. AK looks like 98% polymer. Yeah, it has steel reinforcements on the inside, so it was designed for tank crews and stuff like that. So they wanted to get it as lightweight as possible, and part of them getting it as lightweight as possible was by using extensive polymer pretty much everywhere. It's not such a bad idea because we have seen it work before on other weapons of the same category. So a good example of that would be the G36 from Germany by H&K. Makes extensive use of polymer, super lightweight, and it works. So you're good with history. I myself is a big fan of history. I watch a lot of videos, so it's not that I'm good with history so much as I can just regurgitate a lot of what I hear from forgotten weapons, for example, and stuff like that. There is a buyback scheme to take them out of circulation. Okay, so obviously buyback is not worth it. I can already tell you, no buyback has like ever been worth it in the history of any buyback program. So my follow-up question to that is, so let's say that I own an AR-15, just an example. I don't know if you can or can't over there. Are they going to come knocking on my door if I don't go to these buyback programs and force me to hand it to them under threat of jail time, or is that more like they're trying to encourage people strongly to give it back to them, but they're not going to come take it? So I'm worried about confiscation, basically. So we've seen in history, generally, when like really big politics and stuff was going on and they start banning things, the first thing that they're going to do is ban it, and then the next thing they're going to do is confiscate it, because then Well, what are you going to do? It's been banned and it's been confiscated from you. It's not like you can go and buy one unless you have whatever legality stuff they say you have to have. Once we get done with that conversation, I'm going to wrap it up because I need to go out and across town so I can have dinner and a few drinks with some friends. My favorite pistol is the Desert Eagle, or my favorite name for it, the Deagle. I think the Deagle is just one of those guns that's super iconic with like everyone. Pretty much they will confiscate, but they buyback is highly encouraged. That's a shame, really. That's obviously it's a little different from here in the United States, but that see you later, man. Enjoy Spider-Man. It's supposed to be a really good movie. It's a shame though that so many people are losing whatever reason they have their rifles for. So some people, they hunt. That's how they get dinner on the table. Some people use them for self-defense. I personally, I own a rifle specifically for self-defense. That's not me saying that, you know, the second someone rolls up and threatens me, I'm going to pull out a rifle and shoot them. But in the event that someone comes up and tries to rob me, for instance, sometimes you need something bigger than a pistol, you know? So, a lot more stable of a shooting pattern as well, or platform as well. So that's also going for you, which makes things nice. Well, the UK, they have stringent gun laws. There are ways to get things, whether they be extremely difficult to get them or not, right? So there's so many different municipalities that do different things, and it's hard to compare them from one to the other. We should probably really find out the name of this thing, so we can. Swiss silenced sniper rifle. G150. G150. G150 silenced sniper rifle. Work in progress version 1. So like this huge proponent of gun control, gun laws, gun registration, whatever you want to call it, in a lot of countries is and has always been, well, in Australia, all guns are banned except for like very specific patterns of rifles, and you have to go through this huge registration process and these courses, and there's fees associated with it and stuff like that. There's so many different ways to do things in a lot of different spots that it becomes hard to kind of compare countries to one another. So the UK, for example, I don't have any specific statistics for this, so this is just me, right? But this is my personal opinion. There we go. We'll say it like that. In Detroit, or all these other high crime rate areas in the United States, not specifically, rich affluent areas, but these high crime rate areas where there's a lot of poverty, right? So that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother time. High poverty rates, usually high crime rate follows high poverty rate. So Chicago is a good example that I can think of off the top of my head, because even people outside of America understand that Chicago, there's a lot of violence in Chicago. So something that I like to think about a lot is, in Chicago, if you are going to be violent, your weapon of choice is probably going to be a handgun, right? In the United Kingdom, because handguns are so well regulated and they're not as readily available to people as a choice of weapon for violence, you see them using other things that, me personally, I might consider to be worse than getting shot. So the two that I can definitively say off the top of my head are knives, getting stabbed or slashed, and acid. Those are two things that I would not want to happen to me. Getting shot, to me, seems better than having acid thrown on me. That's going to burn. If you try to like touch it or get it off of you, you're going to spread it. It's not something that you can just like easily get off. Getting stabbed, a lot of stabbings, it's pretty bad. Like if you go to Google Images right now and you look up stabbing victim, those images compared to a gunshot victim upset me a lot more. I'm not squeamish around blood and organs, but stabbing victims I turn away from because I don't like. There's a lot of stuff going on there that looks disgusting, so stay away from that. Texas has the least amount of gun-related crimes because the gun law isn't strict. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say no. Texas probably also doesn't have huge areas of poverty like other places, because you have to remember, Chicago, they built most of their industry around car manufacturing, and then car manufacturing left. And the second car manufacturing left, a lot of people lost their jobs in Chicago, which introduced a lot of poverty. I'm not saying that less stringent gun laws don't play into that statistic, but there's other factors that we have to look at here too. Mental health is a huge thing. Poverty is a huge thing. Then you have to start taking a look at, well, do people have all their basic needs met? So if there's this huge amount of population out on the streets of Chicago that have no homes for whatever reason, that's going to play into poverty or into crime rates. I keep jumping to the lightning. Stabbed or put on fire. I have been told, and I got to really go after I answer this question so I can get over there on that side of town. I have been told that after a certain amount of time, when you are on fire, like your whole body's on fire, the nerve endings get burned off or they stop working, and you no longer feel the pain that fire gives you. That account comes from the monks who self-immolated in a form of protest to all the injustices that they're facing. So I don't know if that's true or not, and I'm not about to try to find out. From what I'm being told, I'm going to guess the fire, okay, would be less painful. Stabbing, I think, is going to be more painful because that is, the second you get cut, those nerve endings aren't damaged around it, right? They're still there. You can still feel that type of stuff, as far as I've been able to tell. So I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully, I'll pick up the stream sometime over the weekend. I don't know. See you guys later, and another YouTube video or stream and whatnot. Peace.